Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. Welcome back from the weekend. How you doing? Did you have a good weekend? I hope you did. Now we are here upon the big week, the week of Ison. The week of Ison. So today we are at the 25th of November, just making our way right along to the conclusion of this year. Today we transition from the moon sign of Leo into the next sign over, which is Virgo. Okay, so we've gone from Leo to Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. An earth sign. This Virgo is all about helping, service. The tarot card would be the card of the Hermit, which is the one who goes away in solitude, not in order just to be alone for alone's sake, but to gather one's strength and one's energy, to analyze what is going on. Going to get the secret and then bring it back to everybody, and then the Hermit comes back and holds the lantern up high for everyone to see. So that is the idea implied. It's the idea of helping others by providing some sort of a service or some sort of personal sacrifice in order to go and help the greater good. So that's where we're at today with our moon sign. The sun sign is Sagittarius, which is also about truth. So we've got this truthfulness of the Sagittarian, and then we've got the self-sacrifice, and in order to help the greater good of the Virgo. It's a good combination. Now there's a square between the two of them early this afternoon. 1:28 Pacific time is when that aspect takes place. And so there's a lesson to be learned between those two things, how they could help each other out, how you could take the truthfulness and apply it to what is going on, the service provided. That truthfulness is very important because sometimes we provide service for things, and if we don't really know what the truth is, it makes a big difference. The moment we know what the truth is, what we're providing that service for, why we're helping and doing things, makes all the difference in the world. And well, truths are needing to be exposed these day and age in order for the healing of humanity to help. So perhaps that's part of it. Perhaps it's more of the truthfulness kind of hitting home. Go over to our moon phase. We're at the 51% of the way full mark, making our way down to the new moon. The Mayan Oracle, we're on a 13-tone day, which means we're jumping off of this wave spell, and we're going to begin a new wave spell starting tomorrow. That wave spell will be the next number in order, so the wave spell of the hand. So we're finishing up the wave spell of the wizard, which was about timelessness. So having learned this lesson and dealt with the theme of timelessness for the last 12 days, here on our 13th day, we're now going to understand the timelessness of life and death and how it all kind of intertwines together in one big continuous ongoing life that takes place. Okay, so we're getting ready to jump with that wisdom, and we're getting ready to jump with that wisdom onto the next phase of accomplishment. So today, here on the World Bridger, today's the Cosmic World Bridger guided by the dog. The phrase is, I endure in order to equalize transcending opportunity. I seal the store of death with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of heart. Over at spaceweather.com, our solar wind is 320.0 kilometers per second. Our planetary K-index at the moment is quiet, between a 0 and a 1. Not much in the way of coronal holes, maybe a few little separations, but not too much at the moment. Our geomagnetic storm activity is low, and our M-class flare possibility 25%, X 5%. Here's Suspicious Observers report for today.
Good morning, folks. Eyes in the Bay of Bengal as the cyclone strengthens and the subcontinent comes into the crosshairs. Minor evacuation should be considered if not already underway. Alessa hit Australia. Remnants continue to drop moisture across a wider area. There are numerous flood threats in the northern parts of the country, including the northeast. Rainfall over South America has been torrential at times. Got the flood risks in numerous locations here, especially with the accumulation. Looking at Africa as well, the accumulation swath is easily discernible. Isolated spotty flood threats here are spread across that swath. Major rain in the southwest U.S. moved over Texas and just east where it was already pouring badly. Last bit of flood threats there. Bartol network showing muon density dropping. It's a lowering of the cosmic rays. 24 boring hours of solar wind, so let's pull up 3 days. You can see a drop-off in density, speed, and plasma temperature, orange, yellow, and green respectively. No geomagnetic instability, and the sensitive electron flux is very calm. Solar flaring on the GOES X-ray flux declining from weak solar max to someone please remind our star it's showtime. Let's say Ison were to induce flaring during perihelion. There's nothing even on the Earth-facing disk that could fire a strong M flare at the moment, much less an X flare or an X10. The complexity and size combination just isn't there yet, with Ison shows starting in 3 days. Most of you know that we've entered a Quake watch. Part is the doubly relevant planetary geometry, Saturn conjoining Mercury and Venus opposing Jupiter. But the majority of this is about the solar magnetic force. We saw slight power development in the northern opening last night, and per yesterday's news, that opening is still affecting Earth today. The blocking umbral and coronal magnetic fields appear to open towards the equator, and in addition to being able to see that part in the blocking fields coming to Earth, you should notice the general macro-level gyration and instability of the fields. Highly dynamic. You can see that field instability also when you eliminate all but the ecliptic plane fields. You see the snapping yellow line down south. Last night, I showed how all 5 moderate Iran-Iraq tremors in the month of November occurred in the last 3 days. It's a very significant indication of the uptick we were already expecting with the Quake watch. Luckily, though, after central Turkey shook for a second, the pressure moved south along that fault line to the Triple Junction in the Indian Ocean, and that shifted the instability back to the Scotia Sea and South Atlantic Ocean for the second 7-pointer there this month. We are also beginning an uptick in the Northwest Pacific, and even with that showing on the USGS, it is not representative of the 6 magnitude power indicated on the global list. Quick note. I've been adding new polls every few days. I do appreciate when you guys come here and give your opinion. It truly helps everyone when you share your mind. And especially for those new viewers, the climate series and all the background videos needed to get on the same page are compiled into nice playlists here for easy viewing without having to click around or search for them. I'll leave you with an incoming monster filament, some shots of 11/8/99 from Iris, and other shots of our star to close. Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right. So, for the last 11 months this year and 3 months of last year, we've been hearing about Comet Ison. Comet Ison. Comet Ison. Well, this is the week that we're going to find out a great deal about Comet Ison, because Comet Ison goes to perihelion, which means it's going to be closest to the Sun. You see, it's been making its way through the solar system, past all of the planets, it went past Mars on October 1st, moving in closer, and it's crossing behind our Sun. It's going to make a loop, and it's going to go around our Sun. And that date, the 28th, is when it's going to be at its closest position. As it's going to go, it's coming around, and then it's going to go back out again. And what's going to be determined as it gets closer to the Sun is it going to last? Is it going to completely dive into the Sun and disappear in a ball of fire? Or is it going to survive perihelion and continue on? And if it continues on, it could be quite bright, having come past that encounter with the Sun. Then we go to the next question. Once it passes, what will happen when it crosses the path of Earth? That will happen later in December, but first we have to get past this first encounter on the 28th. So just a couple days from now. So the next couple days, what I'm going to be doing is playing information about Ison. I've done a lot in the past. There's a lot of links if you go past through the past shows at firstcontactradio.com. Just go down the playlist there from the various days, and you'll see a variety of ways to watch Ison and stories about Ison so you can keep up with it. So today we're going to start off with this piece here, Thor News. He's been one of the guys that has been very consistent on putting out news about Ison. So I think we definitely can get some good insight where he's coming from, because he's been following this as close as anyone else. So let's check this out first. Here.
This is a Thor News presentation.
Thor News presents.
Thor News presents The Solar Fleet Looks at Ison. We are taking a look at Comet C2012 S1 Ison. And for the record, Inky is crashing the party too, pal. Yeah, it's true. We got Ison and a bunch of cameras. She looks giant. Phil Plate assures us that Ison is only 1.2 miles wide, and he has staked his reputation on it. That makes me very excited. I'm going to go ahead and guess Ison's nucleus is way bigger than 1.2 miles. And I'm going to stake my guess, not reputation, because I have no reputation. I'm just a pseudo-astronomer on the YouTube. None of us have reputations, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm going to say Ison will not break up, and will make it. The dirty snowball will fly through the sun and come back out the other side. You know what I'm saying? Once again, pointing out how way oversimplified and unimaginative the term dirty snowball is. So you can check out all these cameras yourself. This footage was posted on Space Weather. I don't know where they got it from, and they happened to take out old Deberon, which is weird. We got the stereo HI cameras. We got the stereo high cameras. We got the Sechi high cameras. And we're just moving and grooving. I have a very important, very complex Ison video I'm going to make today. So I thought I'd wake up after a good night's sleep and put out the data that pretty much everybody else is putting it out. So, not claiming to be cutting edge or original with this. I woke up, checked my subscriptions, and everybody put up the HI footage. But since I started working on it last night, I'm going to go ahead and finish. I got this footage off of spaceweather.com. The dark clouds of stuff you see coming from the right are density enhancements in the solar wind. And these are what are causing all the ripples you see in Comet Enki's tail, explains our buddy Carl Batams of NASA's Comet Ison Observing Campaign. I can pretty much promise you that we're going to see Ison's tail doing that in a couple of days' time on a much larger scale. Hell yeah! Batams points out another exciting development. Comet Enki and Comet Ison are converging for a photogenic close encounter. No, they're not going to hit each other. In reality, they are millions of miles apart. But as seen from Stereo A spacecraft, they're going to get very close. We are probably a couple of days away from seeing two comets almost side by side in that camera, with long tails flowing between them in the solar wind. To say that such an image will be unprecedented is rather an understatement, and I think we can all agree they look like giant sperms flying to an egg. Carl didn't say that, I did, but it's true. Look at them, man. They look like giant sperms flying to an egg, and the sun would be the egg, and I guess the Earth and the other planets would be the cock blockers. Cock blockers, cock blockers. All right. Cock blockers, cock blockers. All right. Wait. That analogy might not be a good one. And spaceweather.com does remind us that we are in the final countdown clock at T-7 days to perihelion. Comet Ison is traveling fast, mofos. And that just means mahogany foggers. Mahogany foggers. All right. If you've been paying attention this last week or so, there have been three types of scientists. One, the guy who says, I have no idea what is going on. We must study it more. Two, you got the scientist who's so arrogant. He's like, oh, everything's just fine. Oh, everything's just normal. This is a normal dirty snowball. Three, the scientist who says, I don't have time to talk about Ison. We have to promote Maven, another awesome satellite we're sending out to Mars so we can send you guys back pictures of dirt. How many scientists do you even remember predicting? Oh yeah, there are going to be wings in a boat shock. The only people I even knew who predicted wings were conspiracy theorists, people. I never heard a single scientist, astronomer say, yeah, it's probably going to have wings. I heard a lot of conspiracy people say that. You know, like, it's so weird. Anywho, we're just going to be taking a look at these awesome, amazing cameras. Like, wow, look at this. It's amazing how far technology has come. Look at these crystal clear photographs. Man, it's like we're in the future. If the future was 1964. Hold on, I think I got a helicopter inbound. Anyway, and what the hell is that behind Ison? That thing looks big. I think it's moving fast. Man, this situation is so crazy. I just went to Walmart and asked for crazy pills. And the woman looked at me like I was crazy. I was sad, and I said, the world is full of crazy people. You're the crazy one for not having crazy pills. I'm so old, I remember when Blue Light Special was a joke. And a couple minutes ago, I got all randy. I don't even know what it means to be all randy. Watch out, randy. See? Nothing. And if you're mad, you didn't have to watch. But I'd like to thank Down Thumbs Donnie for always being there in the first 10 minutes of putting up my videos. It is good to know you care so much, Down Thumbs Donnie, and you spend so much of your life dedicated to following mine. That makes me flattered, Donnie. Down Thumbs. Or Donna Down Thumbs. Heck, I don't know. All you internet people, unless I've seen your photographs and we've discussed, you're pretty genderless to me. Or genitalist to me. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. Crap! Now I got more people down thumbing me because I'm not being very serious in this one. And I'm not spitting out a scientific data. But hey, guess what? Those down thumbs don't really hurt. But they are metrics on the happiness of human beings in relation to watching my videos. Oh yeah. Okay. It makes me sad that I can't make everybody happy. I'm now going to go wallow in that sadness for about 5 seconds. And then I'm going to get back to making kick-ass videos. Because damn, I'll tell you what. We got a doozy coming up. Yeah, we do. Pretty shocked nobody's pointed out yet. But I guess, you know, whatever. Alright. Professional science is strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly. Come out in the crowds. Taxpayers look wicked.
Alright, there you go. That is the Comet Ison report in the way that Thor News does it. There's going to be some more information on Ison in a little bit. UFO News is up next. Stay tuned.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alright, Dirk. Today, there are 5 stories. First story comes from dark UFO hovering over the clouds above the ocean. Here we have some photographs from NASA. There's their object in question. Okay, here we have a dark circle UFO that seems to be hiding above the cloud cover, but from orbit it is visible. Why didn't NASA see this and edit it out, you ask? Because the original photo is very dark. To see the dark circle, you must add brightness or light to the photo. Notice how the blue ocean is visible below the clouds, leading me to believe that this UFO is heading to or from an alien base on the ocean floor. Alright. Very cool. So we've got plenty of UFOs coming in and out. This was captured by Street Cap 1. Captures a lot of sightings. Alright, let's go to the next one here. This was an infrared camera. Caught 2 orbs over Melbourne, Australia. There's our orbs in question. Okay, watch as Lou catches several orbs, cloud orbs, or in infrared. They are often caught between clouds and seem to be moving in and out above the sky in curved lines ahead of straight lines. Lou is out almost every day trying to record these things, so don't waste your time trying to doubt the video's authenticity. He is well known to the UFO community for his dedication and catches. It is my belief that these orbs are tiny drones that allow aliens to see, record, and sense everything near the orb, even emotions. Okay? So watching for the passenger jet. The video is 3 minutes and 46 seconds. We'll zip forward here. Here's a couple orbs out there. You can see them in the distance. Okay, here's one right here. Okay, one here and one up here. When you enlarge the screen, you'll definitely be able to see them much better. You definitely see them pretty good out there. Alright, that is up there by above Australia. Now we're going to jump over here to the Netherlands. This goes back to the 17th of October. This was UFO passes over an oil gas refinery in the Netherlands. Speeds up before slowing down again. Alright. There's our object in question. Alright. In the first shot here, you could see it's sort of a daytime, just to show you where it was in proximity to this object. Alright, that's a pretty good shot over the Netherlands. And jumping away from there, we go to the UK, and this was an apparent capture of a cloaking device. Photographer takes pictures of UFO with cloaking device. Is a strange black dot surrounded by a green haze. Photographed above the calandra, evidence that we're not alone. For 52-year-old Andrew Bartham, the image captured on his mobile phone at 5:30 a.m. last Friday is all the proof he needs. I was messing around with the camera settings, left in a negative mode, and photographed the sun just above the clouds, he said. He was surprised to see an eerie shape above the sun when looking back at his photos, and it is certain it's a UFO. That's the enlarged image right there. The black dot in the middle part of the craft, while the colored shape around it is invisibility cloaking, he suggested. It may sound far-fetched, but Batham said he also saw no UFOs in the sky with his naked eye that day. He was seeing strange lights above Calandra in the past. He already tried getting more photos to the west of the Stockland Shopping Center, the scene of the first picture, and will continue to do so in an attempt to capture even more evidence. So that's pretty cool. Just to kind of see something around that, a little bit more discovery. We'll find out what that actually is. And here's a story from UFO Digest: Flying Saucers and Abductions in the Old Testament. The notion that flying saucers can be inferred when reading certain passages of the Old Testament is not a new one. But like the Bible itself, it is an inexhaustible subject, meaning we can never know the complete truth of that correlation in spite of how hard we work to understand it all. But Timothy Green Beckley comes to the aid of a curious reader seeking to learn more about this marvelous relationship between miracles many millennia old and the advanced UFO technology we have seen in our skies, at least since 1947 by Kenneth Arnold. Beckley has recently released an updated edition of the classic Flying Saucers in the Holy Bible, which consists mostly of an older work by the Reverend Virginia F. Brassington, who offered flying saucer interpretations of stories from both the Old and the New Testaments. The articles will concern itself primarily with the incidents from the Old Testament. In his introduction to the new reprint, Beckley discusses the little-known Reverend Brassington's thusly. Hers was a relatively obscure manuscript that had been picked up by the flying saucer promoter, Gary Bracker, and published by the Saucerian Press. Before she became an angel in heaven herself, I met the petite woman while a guest on the all-night talk show hosted by, of all people, the amazing Randy, the lady minister who had set about to promote her work, and she so impressed me that what she had uncovered that I later reissued the book in 1982. At that time, it was well received, but unfortunately, there was only a limited audience for its controversial content. Unlike other more authoritative figures in the same genre, Reverend Brassington touched upon her own fertile ground. If you're wondering just what kind of Reverend Virginia Brassington was, Beckley writes that she was licensed as a minister in the state of North Carolina by the Church of the Nazarene, but it's unlikely that many of her fellow clergy members at that time were seeing the Bible quite like she did. For example, Brassington takes up the story about a pillar of cloud that guided Moses and the Israelites through the desert. In Exodus 14:19 through 20, she writes, we read how the pillar of cloud would change position as the circumstances warranted. It glowed at night and made a pillar for the whole camp of Israel, but in the daytime it was a thick gray mass that protected them from the burning hot desert sun. In the 20th verse mentioned above, it tells how when they were engaged in battle or when the Egyptians drew too near the Israelites, this huge object moved near between the enemy and the Israelites and would glow on the side of the Israelites, thus giving them light to perform their camp duties, while inside of the Egyptians it was dark. It was as though God put his great hand between. Brassington also provides a comprehensive list of the many references to clouds in the Old Testament, but specifically God appearing at various times by using clouds as a form of transportation, like the incident recorded in the 16th chapter of Exodus. When the children of Israel had been murmuring and complaining, Brassington recounts, and Aaron had called them together to deliver a lecture of ingratitude. We are told in the 10th verse that they looked towards the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the clouds. So eventually this was some kind of a vehicle that hovered over them, stood on end beside them, glowed when necessary, and put on some kind of vapor that condensed and kept a continual cloud over them to protect them from the sun, and maybe to protect the people from radiation burns, and somehow God was aboard. Further examples of clouds are listed. The following are both from Exodus 19. And the Lord said to Moses, Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, and the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And it came to pass in the third morning that there were thunderings and lightnings, and a thick cloud came upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceedingly loud, so that all the people were there, and the camp trembled. You can see there's a lot more to this story. Of course, as you know, stories of the Bible and UFOs have been connected for quite some time. We know the stories, the ancient alien stories that are told, Eric von Daniken's tales, Zechariah Sitchin. So this is just more information that just kind of tells you what was really going on. A lot more people are understanding these days, which is a good thing. A very good thing indeed. All right, that is our UFO news. I have much more on Ison and some other subjects when we come back, so stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of them.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
All right, continuing on. So we're going to start off with some situations going on with Obama. We know about him and all the military. Well, here's something that is going on. The military. This article here says U.S. generals now take action to watch Obama. Retired Army, Air Force leaders say government continues down path of destroying America. After one of them called for the forced resignation of President Obama and congressional leaders in response to multiple grievances, including the alleged political purge of hundreds of senior military officials, two retired U.S. generals are creating a citizens' commission to scrutinize Obama administration actions on national security and economic issues. America's Provisional Leadership Council will look at major concerns as outlined by Army General Paul E. Vallely and Air Force Brigadier General Charles Jones in an 8-point paper titled The Americans Project. Vallely told WND he sees the American Project as a citizens' commission of prominent Americans to provide advice to legislative and executive branches of government. America's leaders, he said, will be held in high standards or performance to solve the nation's problems of governing. We will scrutinize and provide guidance to federally elected officials on behalf of the government. The Americans Project, Vallely added, is a movement, not a new party necessarily. We want candidates to run as Americans first before being a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. Vallely, who today is chairman of the organization Stand Up America, served as the deputy commanding general of Pacific Command. So we do see some action being taken. Well, that's a good thing. We'll see where that goes. Now, for years, with the Kennedy assassination, we've heard those who are conspiracy researchers that Lee Harvey Oswald was related to the CIA. And then, of course, there's been all those debunkers who have come out and said, oh, no, that's not the case. Well, check out this story, and this is amazing. Lee Harvey Oswald has been quietly added to the CIA memorial wall. Huh. Imagine that. Startled employees of the Central Intelligence Agency discovered this morning that Lee Harvey Oswald had been quietly added to the memorial wall at CIA headquarters. Oswald is widely believed to have assassinated U.S. President John F. Kennedy or someone dressed like him in Dallas in 1963. The action does not appear to have been a prank. As of the press time, the extra star was still there, along with Oswald's name listed in the memorial book located between entries for fallen agents, Felix Leiter and Charles Calthrope. A spokesman for the CIA refused to comment or elaborate on why the agency has added Oswald's name to the memorial, only saying after 50 years several documents have been declassified, which have finally allowed the agency to set the record straight. The documents will be made available to the general public in another 20 years. Well, do you need 20 years to figure that out? They've said, researchers have said, he was involved with the CIA. Now he's on the CIA wall. 1 + 1 = 2. That's right. We don't need 20 years to figure this out. We already understand. But then they're going to put this out there because 20 years, maybe they can take and confuse people for that long. Certainly with the indoctrinations they're doing in schools, they'll be able to fool the kids. Hopefully they're not going to be able to fool the adults, but we'll see. I'm not holding my breath on that one. All right, here's a document. You heard about this one. This was the secret document of the U.S. intelligence, the 4-year plan of the NSA. The NSA has big plans. How much that can be identified as top secret document from a collection of whistleblower Edward Snowden read that the New York Times published over the weekend under the title Signet Strategy. Describes the U.S. secret plans for the years 2012 to 2016. The paper reads like a collection of guiding principles to which the employees are to orient their work in the coming years. In the paper, the NSA called the present as the golden age of technical surveillance. The obstacle is only the current legislation, which would still not meet the needs of the intelligence. The interpretation of the guidelines by the regulatory authorities, and in some cases the authorities themselves, with the technical complexity not held the target environments and the expectations of the NSA, says the secret government, would therefore have jurisdiction, policy, and executive authorities be as fast, adaptable, and dynamic as the technological and operational advance that we want to exploit. Nevertheless, one wants to retain the culture of compliance, which had enabled the American people to provide the NSA with wide-ranging powers, skills that you need, among other things, to cybersecurity measures of our opponents wrestle so that we can monitor the data we need anytime, anywhere, and get on everyone. And so you can see a lot of what their works are. It's a lengthy article. But again, it just fits into their spying plan of what they want to do. They don't care what the American people have to say about this spying. It's a horrendous situation that we're in here in America. And if the rest of the world is laughing at us, well, unfortunately, we deserve it. Because for far too long, I know that we've done the best we could, but for far too long, the majority of this country has been uninvolved with the process. And so things have gotten the way they've gotten. The liars, the cheaters, the thieves, they seem to be running the show. So we'll have to see how it's all going to unfold. But we're going to turn our attention away from the things that the people do, because we know that the people down here are corrupt and that are running the governments and so on. They're greedy, they're corrupt, it's gotten worse. There's millions more good people on this planet, which is the great thing about being down here. And we have forces that are happening outside of this planet that will affect life down here on this planet in some way, shape, or form. Some of these events are playing themselves out, as we know. In addition to Comet Ison, which is going through its cycle, we also have the sun going through its changes. There's an article here from, says the sun is set to flip upside down within weeks. So we've talked about this before, changing poles. It says the sun is to lose one of its two south poles as its magnetic field flips over, sending a ripple throughout space. The sun's magnetic field is expected to flop down, upside down within weeks as the north and south poles swap sides. The phenomena, which sends ripple effects throughout the solar system, happens once every 11 years as the solar cycle reaches its peak. It will be observed throughout the heliosphere, the vast region of space affected by the sun's magnetic field, which extends billions of miles beyond Pluto. The swap could cause intergalactic weather events such as geomagnetic storms, which can cause radio blackouts and interfere with satellites. The heightened solar activity coincides with this, is also expected to give stargazers a better glimpse of the aurora borealis, or the northern lights. Says Todd Hoeksema, a scientist at Stanford University's Wilcox Solar Observatory, said the polar reversal takes place as the sun's magnetic fields moves north or south from the equator, eroding the existing pole as it does so. It's kind of like a tide coming in or going out, he said. Each little wave brings a little more water in, and eventually you get to full reversal. Latest measurements show the sun technically has two south poles caused by its two hemispheres being out of sync. Phil Scherer, who works with Hoeksema at the observatory, said the North Pole has already changed sign while the South Pole is racing to catch up. Soon, however, both poles will be reversed and the second half of the solar max will be underway. Mr. Hoeksema said in early August that a complete field reversal looked like being no more than 3 to 4 months away. Instruments at the Solar Observatory near San Francisco have been staring at the sun for nearly 40 years and records its magnetic field every day. So he said no more than 3 to 4 months away, so we have August. So early August, so it would be August, September, October, November. That puts it in 4 months, sometimes within those 4 months. If you don't want to count August, then you've got September, October, November, and December. Any way you look at it, happens to be the same time that Ison is going through its cycles and moving through perihelion. So when Ison is going to be closest to the sun, around that period of time, the sun is going to be going through its completion of its reversal. Okay, so here's an article now, comes to us from NASA Science, and it says Comet Ison versus the solar storm. Astronomers were amazed when a solar storm hit Comet Encke. NASA stereo spacecraft watched as the CME struck the comet head-on and ripped off its tail. The same thing could be in store for Comet Ison, only worse. On the 28th of November, Comet Ison will pass through the sun's atmosphere, flying little more than 1 million kilometers above the sun's surface. It will be 30 times closer to the sun than Encke was in 2007, and more likely to encounter a ferocious solar storm. For one thing, says Angelos Vorlidas of the Naval Research Lab and a participant in NASA's Comet Ison observing campaign, The year 2007 was near solar minimum. Solar activity was low. Now, however, we are near the peak of the solar cycle and eruptions are more frequent. I would absolutely love to see Comet Ison get hit by a big CME, says Carl Batams, an astronomer at the Naval Research Lab who also works with the CIOC. It won't hurt the comet, but it would give us a chance to study extreme interactions with the comet's tail. CMEs are magnetized clouds of plasma hurled into space by the explosions of sunspots. The gas inside a CME is not very dense, so its impact would not shatter the comet's core. The fragile tail is another matter. Comet tails are as gossamer as the CMEs themselves, so the interaction can be intense and unpredictable. The CME that ran over Comet Encke back in 2007 was slow, barely creating a pressure pulse cut by compressing the solar wind ahead of it. It was the compression which caused the Encke's tail to fly off. He believes that Comet Ison would experience something more dramatic. Any CME that hits Comet Ison close to the Sun would very likely be fast, driving a shock wave with a much stronger magnetic field. Frankly, we can't predict what would happen. So then it says Comet Ison entered the field of view of stereo A on the 21st. Coincidentally, Comet Encke is there too. Presently, the two comets are being gently buffeted by solar wind, and their tails are wagging back and forth accordingly. So this is what you saw in that last image, the bit that Thor News was playing. We got the Earth, we got Encke and Ison moving past the Earth. Right? If the Sun erupts, both comets would be engulfed by the same CME. This would turn the two comets into solar probes. Like windsocks, they would sample the storm from two widely separated locations, giving researchers a rare 3D view of the CME's inner structure. Comet Ison will be passing over the Sun's equator on the 28th, on the same side of the Sun where a group of active sunspots was recently clustered. In other words, says Toms, we're going to be in the hot zone for CMEs. NASA's entire fleet of solar observatories will be watching when Ison takes the plunge. This includes Stereo A and Stereo B, the Solar Dynamics Observatory, and the Solar and Heliospherics Observatory, otherwise known as SOHO, which NASA operates along with the European Space Agency. If a CME strikes the comet, all of the spacecraft are likely to see what happens. It will be pretty new territory for us as Batams, and a nice preview of what NASA Solar Probe spacecraft might experience when it plunges into the Sun in the 2020s. Alright, so something to look forward to later this week. I saw an image today someone had taken a picture of from Los Angeles out of the comet. They went out, it was just before the sun came up. It was like at 5:55. It was still dark when I think they took the picture. So I'm going to venture out over the next couple days early in the morning and see if I can get a shot of it. So check it out. And look on your phones, look for the apps. You can find apps to see where Comet Ison is. Just type in there Ison Watcher, Ison Finder, something like that, and you'll definitely find an app. Alright, here is another piece about Ison, and this comes to us from BP Earthwatch. You've heard lots of his videos. He's also been doing a great amount of research and putting out a lot of videos on this particular subject. So let's listen to what he has to say in this regards.
November 24, 2013. Guys, we're looking at Ison 3D. Got it set for today's date on the 24th. Showing here that Ison is 24 million miles from the Sun. Guys, it's getting close. Look how far inside Mercury's orbit that it's getting. Now, on the 25th tomorrow, it will be 19 million miles. You see that? That means it'll be moving 5 million miles per day. On the 27th, it's going to be up to 7 million miles a day. Notice that? Now, on 28th, it's going to wrap around the Sun. Look how close this will be. Again, it will be a miracle if it survives this close impact with its mass and I think multiple objects. But one of the things that that no one's put into this model, of course they couldn't foresee it, is that on the 19th, when Ison's tail and the outer coma was blown back. That changed the timeline of the debris trail probably by about 7 days. In other words, from the point that Ison comes around, any objects back in that trail, if they follow Ison, like a lot of these comets that break apart do, then you've got about 6 or 7 days there of objects coming in. Now, this is one of the questions that I keep getting asked. Notice we're right here at December 25th, 26th, around Christmas. This is the time that Ison is coming over the Earth. If nothing changes, nothing breaks apart, all things hold to the model, it's going to be 40 million miles above us. Now, if you click over here on the right at the numbers, go down to number 4 in the red, you'll click on 28th of November, and you'll see that they're giving it a chance of breaking apart. Guys, and the reason I'm coming here for a reason. I had the questions, and I want to remind you of something. I've done videos on that's called Ison's debris trail, and I'm going to show you some images in this one. But again, Ison will be over us, and the records of the comets that have broken apart with pieces hitting the Earth have come over the top of the Earth. Not only the one that came through in 1490, it came over the North Pole. It came down east over Australia and struck. Now, that one's recorded because they were able to see it. Now, what we've got here, and I'll show you, it's called the Carolina Bays. As we look at the second week of going through the incoming debris trail, we have what's called the Carolina Bays, guys. And I'm going to show you on Google Map what they've done. And I'm going to put a link to this for you guys who have never used it. But there's a plug-in that puts this information in there. And the red line in the middle that goes right over Paul Begley and Old Marine and all you guys is where the comet that struck was coming. It was coming over the top of the Earth and down. And that's the path that it would have maintained, except it hit where the yellow lines cross up near the Great Lakes. And there's scatter shots. There's craters all over, both from, if you look east to Nebraska, west through Nebraska, east, all the way down the east coast. Heavily into Carolinas, if you remember the story of the Native Americans that were there 12,000 years ago, they saw it coming. And the comet did not strike the Earth, but a piece of it did, because after everything and all hell broke loose, they saw the comet going back into outer space. But it broke apart. And this is infrared images of the Carolina area, guys. Look at Shannon, Red Springs, Prospect, Maxton, Laurinburg, all through here. This is Google Earth infrared, another infrared image of this area. And the Native Americans have a story of the tribes that lived there. They saw it coming. They dug themselves into the mud. It burned all the animals and all the trees up. Again, 12,000 years ago when some of this happened. But it came in over the Earth. No one knows what's going to happen, guys, but this is history. History repeats itself, and it's a heads up. No one knows, but guys, this is a big comet coming in. Be safe.
All right. So, there you have it. That's information on Comet Ison for today. I'll bring some more, because as you know, people are watching, paying attention. And if you find out anything new, let me know and give me some links and point me in the direction of things that I need to know about. All right, let us move on. All right, there's a project called the Chronicle project. Have you ever heard of it before? It's a very interesting project. It says, our website is dedicated to the restoration of the original definitions of ancient Hebrew used to write the text of the Old Testament, using the self-defining Hebrew system discovered embedded in the original language. So if we go here, we say full website. I'm going to go to the standard display website. And what we've got here says the following pages contain the findings of the Chronicle Research Project Team SDH system, the discovery of the embedded Hebrew language system which defines each word in ancient Hebrew. Okay. So basically what they've done is they've been able to go ahead and use the Hebrew to really understand a little bit more of the meanings. More of the meanings in the Bible here. Okay, it says our first book, Free for Reading, is a compilation of the best of the newsletters over the last couple of years. It says, welcome to the Chronicle Project homepage. If you are new to the SDH System for Ancient Hebrew Text Restoration, please read our research notes on page 2 before proceeding. This will inform you regarding our discovery and help you understand how the system works. So let's go over there. Alright. Basically what we got here, this is the research notes. Alright, and every one of these pops up in a nice PDF. And it tells us that in the beginning, the Hebrew language was originally believed to have been a combination of older languages which evolved into the Hebrew dialect. The breakthrough in our understanding began with the concept that rather than the evolved language, it might be exactly as described itself, the language of God. It was with this premise in mind that the Chronicle research team approached the language for several reasons. If Hebrew was a mix of older languages around it in the first 5 books of Moses, the Torah, as most believe, were the compilation of older legends collected and handed down through the generation. If so, then as a holy writing, they hold no more validity than any other legend. Why? Because they contradict the story of their own creation, which states that they were given to us by God on Mount Horeb. If Hebrew was as described in the opening statement given by God, then the rules from the man-made languages used to interpret the Hebrew language were not applicable. Their use would cause certain widespread error in their translation, and so the question was posed: if this truly is the language of higher beings given to man, should it not show evidence of this? With this in mind, the team began researching for unified rules, set patterns that would occur in such language. The first breakthrough came from Kim, containing the Hebrew word to tear up, 5420 in the Strong's Dictionary. She noticed that the following words in the list held the same concept of to tear, but the direction changed when the third letter changed. So by this, it became apparent that the first 2 letters carried the concept of the idea, and the next letter gave description of the concept as follows: tear up, tear out, tear down, tear off, asunder, away. The team began to then check other words and found the same common patterns. With this in mind, a 2-word list of the team believed were the root words was assembled to see if a common pattern for the added letters could be found. After 18 months and multiple attempts, a successful list of the 22 letters and their effect on the root words were assembled. It was at the time considered that the 2 root letter words were not words at all, but that each letter or glyph shaped was its own concept. This was a quantum leap. Alright, this was the quantum leap that we had been looking for. Each letter of the Hebrew language was not a letter after all, but rather a symbol for a word, just as the Egyptians have. But the stunning difference: the complete language was formed using only 22 glyphs, which by simple combination would create any idea one wished to convey. Interestingly, the first compilation of this work was compiled on the first day of Purim, 2009. Well, there's a lot to this research, and I wanted to introduce this link to you today so you could check it out on your own accord now and see what this is about. You can go to here and you've got all the books of Genesis, the restored versions, according to this system. So we'll get into this another day a little bit more. I just wanted to bring the idea up, and let me continue on here. Let's jump over to our message for today. This is from the angels. Here we go.
The Angels.
By Ann Albers, November 23, 2013.
The Angels.
My dear friends, we love you so very much. Celebrate. There is great light coming into your planet now. The veils between the heavens and earth are thinner, there is great opportunity for manifestation, healing, and stepping into an even deeper awareness of who you really are. And yet with great light always comes a great stirring up of the darkness that has been dormant for quite some time. Think of it this way. Imagine you have moved into a very large and lovely old home. In this house, there is a room in your home that has been sealed off for decades. The windows and curtains have been closed. The contents are shrouded in darkness and the dust and cobwebs have gathered. The air is stagnant and unmoving. Suddenly, you open that door that has been shut for so long. You fling open the windows, draw back the curtains and allow fresh air and light to stream in. Suddenly there is a great influx of light, but along with it a stirring up of the dust, cobwebs, and stale air. As the new comes in the old must go, and for a short time you may cough, sneeze, and even say to yourself, "My goodness! What a mess!" However, when the dust settles, the light streams into the room and you have an opportunity to clean out the old. This room is filled with new life, new hope, and perhaps even new decor that better suits the life you are living now. This is exactly what is going on now upon your earth, in your lives, and in your very consciousness. The light was always there. The dark was always there. However, right now, great light is penetrating the darkness, stirring everything up. Thus you see monumental storms upon your planet, in your lives, and in your hearts. You see people suddenly acting out in ways that seem unthinkable. You feel, at times, an incredible sense of urgency to get things done. And yet, dear ones, our advice to you would be to relax, focus on the small simple pleasures of life, and let the dust settle. Allow the challenges in life simply to be dealt with without drama, without wondering what you have done wrong, for indeed there is no wrong in our book, just lessons, and without adding to the chaos. Choose, using the beautiful gift of your free will, to say, "My goodness, things are stirred up. People are stirred up. A great light must be rising up in the world and in my life. I will choose to be kind and loving to myself, and to the best of my ability, to others as well. I will choose to turn away from drama, and to embrace peace. I will handle the things that require attention in my life, knowing that I have done nothing wrong, and that at any moment I can turn my attention to the light and away from the darkness." Let the dust settle, dear ones, and celebrate the influx of beautiful light, even amidst the storms, the chaos, and the trials you are experiencing. You are, after all, made of this very same light. God bless you. We love you so very much. The Angels.
Alright, very nice message. So let's jump over to our other message here from today. This is our little angel. And this message here says, "Well done. Your good is coming to you. You have worked hard." It's very nice to know. It's nice to know when we work hard, there's good coming our way, good confirmation from the universe. And that brings us to our meditation for today, so go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. So imagine all of the chakras are activated, starting with the chakra at the bottom of the spine. Imagine the color red as the energy is drawn from the earth. And then see the energy move up from that chakra to the chakra above it. And imagine the color orange right around the navel area. And then let the energy raise up higher, just below the rib cage into the solar plexus area, and imagine the color yellow. And then let the energy raise up higher into the heart space, and imagine the color green. And then from the green chakra, the energy moves up higher into the throat, and imagine the color blue. From the blue throat chakra, see the energy move up higher just between the two eyes to the third eye. Imagine the color indigo. And finally the light continues up to the crown chakra. Imagine the color of violet, and then the light continues on up into the cosmos. It's bright white light. Feel the energy as it courses through your body, flows through your body. Feel the warmth and the temperature of the energy, this multicolored energy. Now imagine the energy spilling out over your body, forming a protective veil around you, a cloak around you. 1 foot around you, 2 feet, 3 feet, extended out all around into the room where you're at. And just imagine this light of protection going out around the world. And as this light of protection goes around the world, let's imagine that we take this light of protection and we extend it up like a dome over the earth to help strengthen and protect the fields, the force fields around us from anything coming outside. And let's just imagine sending love and light to each and every individual upon this planet, asking along with this the simple request that minds and hearts be open to understand the process of change we are going through. That in the process of change we find a way to let go of the pain, let go of the doubts and the fears, and embrace the love and the life that is before us. And let us imagine the world being cleansed of the darkness and of the negativity and the doubts and the fears. And let's imagine the world a place, a peaceful place, a loving place, a place where fairness and integrity and truthfulness are some of the cornerstones that we rely upon and stand upon. So let's just hold this thought as a possibility of what we can attain. And as we hold this thought and we share this thought with others, let's just imagine it going and actually bringing forth the result that we truly desire. So let our subconscious mind continue on that journey. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it. Thank you very much, my friends, for being here. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Just keep checking the skies, paying attention to what's going on around you. Life is happening fast and furious these days, and, well, let's just keep paying attention to see what's going on out there. I know you're paying attention. I'll keep doing the same thing. We'll reconvene tomorrow, and we'll see where we go from there. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.